Well, greetings once again, my fellow Star Trek fans, fellow modelers, fellow science fiction fans, and fellow lovers of everything interesting. I'd like to welcome you to another video. This video, while it's going to be about Star Trek, we're going to go to Star Trek Generations. Now, there's a couple of reasons why Generations is not my favorite film. I guess first and foremost, it's the destruction of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D. And secondly, it marks the death of Captain Kirk. And not a fun video to watch. Not a fun movie. Definitely not one of my favorites. Matter of fact, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek Generations are my least favorite. One of the reasons, though, I love watching Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock is, in my opinion, the filming model is really just beautiful in that movie. The effects and the filming of the ships, I just think, is spectacular. And for obvious reasons, the destruction of this lovely lady here, the Enterprise, is very low on my list for enjoyment. But when it comes to Generations, we lose the Enterprise D, not to an attack force, not to, even for a Klingon ship like a Kvorcha class, a really big ship. We lose it to a bird of prey that's being commanded by two renegade Klingon sisters. It's not even... I just think the Enterprise D, for her destruction, it should have been, let's just say she should have got more credit than falling to that. And I understand it's the warp core that eventually doomed the Enterprise D, but anyway, I think, I don't know, she should have stayed around. The E is nice, but nothing like the D. But that's just my opinion. But what I want to talk about today is I want to show you guys the actual model kits that come from Star Trek Generations. We have the, well, we see for the first time the Enterprise B, the NCC 1701B, and that's the Excelsior class ship. And we see the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D, and we see the Klingon bird of prey that eventually is the reason for the destruction of the Enterprise D. And AMT did a really good job with these ships, and what I want to do is we're going to go over and we're going to look at the model kits from Star Trek Generations from AMT. We'll go to the desk, there'll be more light and more room, and we'll check them out. Okay, so we're going to start with the Enterprise, and I've had this one for a real long time. Look at what I got for clearance. I've had this one, wow, I've had this model kit for a really long time, and it was $18, marked down to $10. Now, I don't know if I had gotten this and I had planned to make it, I just didn't have the time, or I didn't have the room. One of those things, and it just stayed in the closet. A lot of the stuff that I had in the closet, luckily we got a larger house, and thank you to my wife who let me have my own Star Trek room. And now I can put my models on display and appreciate them a little bit more. But we'll start with the USS Enterprise NCC 1701B, and we see her in Generations. Now we see her on her maiden cruise. It's kind of like her shakedown cruise. She's a brand new ship. She's going out, and they actually have Captain Kirk, Mr. Scott, and Mr. Chekhov as honored guests. And you know how obnoxious the media can be in this day and age. So it's funny, even the media in I'm not sure what the year was when they launched this ship, but even the media with the camera in your face and all the questions. And anyway, while they're on their shakedown, they're only going to do a quick little trip and return to dock. And they get a distress call from a couple of freighters, and they have people on them, and the captain is nervous because this ship really has nothing. They don't have a tractor beam, they don't have photon torpedoes, they don't have a full crew. And the running joke was Tuesday. Use a tractor beam. We don't have a tractor beam, it'll be installed Tuesday. Load photon torpedoes. We don't have a photon torpedo array. It was going to be brought Tuesday. And that's kind of like the joke. So every time Captain Kirk suggests something, he goes, let me guess, Tuesday. And that was pretty amusing. But what ends up happening is the Nexus ribbon destroys one of the freighters with people aboard. I think there was like 260 something people. Anyway, the captain runs out of options. He asks Captain Kirk for help. So Captain Kirk suggests you move in for transporter range. So that's what they end up doing. And by the time they get a lock, they're only able to save like 42 or 46 people, and the rest perish as well in the Nexus ribbon. But while they move in, they end up using the deflector dish to save them from the ribbon. And when they're close, and after they beam all the survivors aboard, Captain Kirk ends up going down to do the modifications to the deflector dish. And that's where the Nexus the ribbon hits, right over here. And as a result, it's destroyed, open to space. The force field does close the area off, but after they realize where the damage is, Mr. Scott is trying to raise Captain Kirk, and he says to have Mr. Chekhov meet him in the section. And when they go down there, the first thing Mr. Chekhov says was, my God, was anyone in this room or anyone in here? And all Scotty says is, I. And that's just, I get a lump in my throat just thinking about that scene. This is Captain Kirk, he's a legend. And then the ship, the way it flies over, you can see the little open area. Well, Captain Kirk doesn't really die at that moment. He's taken into the Nexus ribbon, which is what Dr. Soren desperately wants to get back to. And that's basically what this movie is based on, is Dr. Soren's obsession with the ribbon. And the destruction of planets and stars is just his way of manipulating the ribbon to come to him, since he can't go to the ribbon. Anyway, that's when we see the Enterprise B for the first time. She's on her maiden cruise. Well, her shakedown cruise, actually. And let's look at the side of the box, and you can see, I love the diagram. Let me see. Get that in focus for you. We got the bridge in the front. You can see the secondary impulse engines and the impulse engine. Photon torpedo launcher in the saucer pylon. We got the Bassard housing, the warp engine wing on the cell pylon. We got the aft photon torpedo launcher at the bottom. And we got the shuttle bay in the bottom of the secondary hull. And this is the highly detailed plastic mantle kit, over 18 inches long, assembled. Authentic decals to replicate the USS Enterprise B. Now this, I'm going to point out that this does not have the Aztecing decals. You can see this is a skill level 2, over 50 parts. And when you look at the ends of the box, Star Trek Generations, the USS Enterprise B, and it's got the same information that was on the side and the same illustration that's on the cover. And this is kit number 8762. And they usually are the same on both ends. Yep, both ends of the box are the same. So looking over at the other side of the box, we've got the same information in the front of it. And then you can see in English and in different languages, it's a highly detailed plastic model kit, measuring over 18 inches long when assembled. Includes authentic decals for the Enterprise B, paint and cement not included. And again, this doesn't come with the Aztecing. And this was released in 1995. Made in Mexico, 8762-100. And on the back, you can see they have the address. Please retain this address for your records or reference. And this is a stamp of 0646. And that is the Enterprise NCC 1701B that we see for the first time in a film. Now, the second ship that we see, we had already seen before, but we're going to move on to the Enterprise D. So let's put the B aside. Now this one, you can see the finished model on the front, and this is the Enterprise, the Special Generations version. Now there was a version of this kit that came out prior to Star Trek Generations, and I believe that kit came out in '88. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a video on the history of the 1/1400 scale Enterprise D model kits, so that'll be a fun video, and that'll be coming out soon. But with this one, you can see this one's got a limited free edition print inside. Print measures 22 inches by 12 3/4 inches, and you can see the price, $14.89. It was a long time ago, but while I'm on the subject of this model, I think I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Nathan. I got this from him. So Nathan, thank you very much. I had wanted to complete the collection, at least for Generations, and I appreciate it. So thank you, buddy. This is AMT ERTL USS Enterprise, and it says 1/650 scale model kit, and that's obviously incorrect, because this is a 1/1400 scale model of the Enterprise D, and all of these come from the same mold. The Enterprise model, this one, the one prior, the clear, all of these 1/1400 scale models come from the same mold. And you can see the background, the stars, and let's take a look at the finished model on the cover. You can see the decals. You can see the escape pods, and check some of the windows, and Enterprise and the nacelle primary hull pylon. And you can see the deflector dish, secondary hull. We have more escape pods going all the way to the nacelle pylons. You can see the phaser array at the bottom of it, and moving up to the Bassard collectors and the nacelle. So I like it when they do the finished model on the box, as opposed the illustrations are nice too, but I like seeing the finished model. I think that's a little bit cooler. So looking at the side, you can see, much like the B, we have the USS Enterprise plastic model kit, over 18 inches long, fully assembled. Detailed instructions for building the USS Enterprise are included. Authentic decals, and includes the display stand. Interestingly, it didn't say that on the Enterprise B. I do think it comes with a display stand though. You can see some pictures of the finished model. Again, there is no Aztecing decals in here, but the newer releases of this kit, the Aztecing decals, or the aftermarket ones, will fit this kit because it's in 1/1400 scale. And this is kit number 8793, and this is a skill level of 2 with over 65 parts. So it's a little bit more involved than the Enterprise B. So looking at the ends of the box, you can see USS Enterprise plastic model kit, over 18 inches long, fully assembled, with the instructions and the decals and the display stand. And we have the same display or picture of the model that's on the box front, and this is kit number 8793. And I think both ends are the same. They are. All right, looking at the other side of the box, in addition to the information, we have the different languages, and it's Star Trek Generations USS Enterprise, measuring over 18 inches long. This kit includes all the necessary components to build the USS Enterprise D. Detailed instructions and authentic decals included. Features a highly detailed model replica. Paint and cement not included. You can see all the different languages. And this was released in 1995. Paramount Pictures. 87931000, or is that 1DO? Anyway, this one, it doesn't say made in Mexico on here, like the B did. And looking at the back of the box, again we have the reference with the address, and where the other one was stamped in this box, this one is actually stamped down here at 0865. And you can see, please retain the address for your records and reference. The ERTL Company, Highways 136 and 20, Dyersville, Iowa, 52040, USA. A phone number, and I'm sure they're not, that's no longer in service, because now AMT, ERTL, is now part of Round 2 Corps. And I am so glad that they Round 2 resurrected all these model companies. So this is the second ship that we see in the movie Star Trek Generations. This is the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D. So next, we're going to look at the ship that was responsible for the destruction of this lovely lady. We're going to look at Star Trek Generations, and this is the Klingon Bird of Prey. And again, the scale is a little bit different on here. It says 1/650 scale model, but this is the 1/350 scale version of this model kit. And incidentally, I'll be doing a video on the history of this model mold as well, the releases of this kit, starting from Star Trek the Motion Picture, going through the flight version of this with the disc, and the newest release by Round 2. Anyway, look for that video soon. But this one is the Klingon Bird of Prey, and it was commanded by the two Klingon sisters, Lursa and I can never remember the other name. I'll put them up. But anyway, two renegade female Klingons, and Dr. Soren is aboard this ship, and this takes out the Enterprise D. So that's a little hard for me to swallow, because this takes out the flagship of the Federation for the second time. It did it to my beloved Enterprise NCC 1701, and that commanded by Commander Kruge. And this one takes out the Enterprise NCC 1701B. They actually plant a bug in Geordi's visor, and it has a signal that is sent back to them. And when Geordi looks at the frequencies, the settings for the shields, they see the frequency the Enterprise is operating on, so they're able to adjust their weapons accordingly. And when this fires on the Enterprise D, it just passes through the shields, and that's the downfall. Eventually the warp core, there's a coolant leak, and eventually the warp core breaches. They evacuate the secondary hull. They all go into the primary hull, but as a result of the explosion of the warp core, the saucer section is pushed, and they fall into the atmosphere of the planet, Meridian 3, and ultimately crash. But this model kit is for the Klingon Bird of Prey, and you can see it's in cruise mode right now. Let me explain to you the different positions of the wing. When the wings are all the way up and it's more like a V on top, that's the landing mode. And we saw that on Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, when this ship is, well, not this one, but the Bird of Prey is on Vulcan, and we got the hatch down. Matter of fact, I'm thinking of doing that for the newest release of the 1/350. We can do it on Vulcan with the spotlights up on it, with the back was dropped, and they christened it the Bounty. This is the same mold as that kit is, and I'm wondering what the differences are in the mold, if any. But anyway, that's when the wings are all the way up, it's in landing mode. When the wings are straight out like this, it's in cruising mode. And then when the wings are all the way down, and it's kind of like an upside down V, that's attack mode. So Those are the different positions of the wings. And what I like about the new release from round 2 is that we can do the different positions in the wings. And I was thinking about doing the landing mode. Looking at the side of the box, I like the little diagram that they have. And you can see the red ring that goes around the front section of the ship is actually the cloaking generator. We've got the photon shield. That's just underneath where the photon torpedo launcher is. And we've got the disruptor cannons coming off the wings. The radiator baffles. I always forget what those are called. Behind those we have the fusion reactor covers that are just aft of that. And then we have the warp generator, the engines that are all the way back. And the new release has them in clear, so we can light the engines and really have some fun with it. But that's the Klingon diagram as of Generations. And you can see Star Trek Generations, highly plastic model kit. Positioning. Oh, nice. This one has the positionable wings as well. Includes the decals for the Klingon bird of prey. It doesn't say anything about a base, and I don't remember if there's a base with this or the Enterprise B. I'll have to look into it, and I will put it up. This is a skill level of 2 with 45 parts. And this is kit number 8230. Looking at the ends of the box, we can see again, highly detailed plastic model kit. Positionable wings includes decals for the Klingon bird of prey, and we have the same picture that we do on the cover. And this is kit 8230, and I think it's the same on both ends, and it is, usually is. And looking at the other side of the box, we got the same information as on the ends, and you can see the different languages. And it's, in English, is Star Trek Generations Klingon bird of prey, and this measures 10 inches long and has a 16-inch wingspan when assembled. Features positionable wings, raised for travel, lowered for combat. Includes decals to replicate the Klingon bird of prey. Features over 45 highly detailed pieces. Paint and cement are not included. And this was released again in 1995. And this one is made in Mexico, 8230-1000. And again, it has the Made in Mexico sticker. The other one that I showed you does not, the Enterprise D, so I don't know why where that one was made, but they must have just forgot to put this on the box. And looking at the bottom, you can see the stamp. This is 0256, and you can see the Made in Mexico sticker on the bottom of the box. And again, retain this address for reference. The ERTL Company, Highways 136 and 20, P.O. Box 500, Dyersville, Iowa. And it gives that. It doesn't give that on the other one that I showed you. So that's the bottom of the box. And like I said, this ultimately is the reason for the demise of the Enterprise D. Not only the Enterprise D, the Enterprise refit was because of one of these things. And the Klingons supposed to be our allies. You know, but that's a different video. The relationship between the Federation and the Klingons. It definitely gets better as time progresses, but this is the ship that led to the destruction of the Enterprise D. Now, we're told in Star Trek Picard that because of the Prime Directive, they go back and they actually recover the primary hull of the Enterprise D. Geordi saves it for a surprise, but when they enter the Starfleet Museum, he used another starship for the star drive, the secondary hull, and the cells, but he ended up restoring the primary hull of the Enterprise, and we see the glorious USS Enterprise NCC 1701D make her return in Star Trek Picard. But as for Star Trek Generations, there were a lot of kits, a lot of main quality kits that came out of this movie. So we've got the Klingon bird of prey. Let's see if I can put that over there. And we've got the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D Generations version. Beautiful ship. This, again, it says 1/650 scale, but this is in 1/1400 scale, and the Klingon bird of prey is in actuality it's 1/350 scale. And we look at the last one is the USS Enterprise NCC 1701B, and I think this is in 1/1000 scale. So my friends, we've got the Enterprise B, the D, and the Klingon bird of prey. And those are the model kits that famously came out of the movie Star Trek Generations, and I believe that was in 1995, the release of the movie. 94 and 95, somewhere around there. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video on this history of the models and the different models from the movie. I thought that it was a pretty cool idea since I had all these in common. And again, I had gotten I've had this one, the Enterprise B. I got the Enterprise D for my presentation for the history of the 1/1400 scale kits, and I got the Klingon bird of prey version, 1/350 scale, for a presentation of that model kit mold as well. So until those videos come out, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.